And maybe Kamales, just share a little bit about yourself, right? Before we go into our questions.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Not at all, absolutely.
It's been great being here. So I am a digital transformation and AI transformation expert. I'm located in Zurich, and I've had over 25 years of experience helping companies, public institutions and government agencies in their digital transformation journey. And I've worked across different regions and different industries as well over the years. And I'm also an author.
Also, author of 2 books. We'll come to that, right? So, okay. So let's get started with the question. I mean, obviously, just in your brief intro, right, you've had a very unique journey consulting neuroscience, right? So neuroscience, when I think of that, I think somebody's done psychology as a degree. No, right?
No.
Did you? Okay, interesting. Neuroscience and global thought leadership. Was there a turning point, right, that really shaped your belief in a more human-centric approach, right, to digital transformation? And it's also, in a way, such a cliche. Everyone says we're human-centric to differentiate themselves. So, share your trigger point.
So I am actually coming from a background in technology. So I started off as a coder back in the late 90s, and then I went into...
You're one of the pioneer girls in code.
I was, and I wasn't really accepted even back then, right? It was a tough industry.
Wow.
But I went into consulting, so I've had experiences with Accenture Malaysia. I was the head of Deloitte Digital in Switzerland as well, before starting my own company.
Okay.
And I have to say, back in, I think, the year 2000, I did a project with one of the big consultancies. We were implementing SAP for a telecoms company.
Okay.
And at that point, when we implemented the technology, we were so excited because we thought we'd see cost reduction, time reduction, efficiencies. And it actually took more time for people to complete the same work. And that's when it was an aha moment for me, because I realized that the technology is only as valuable as the people using it. So people were using it. They were doing work in the traditional way, and at the end of the day, they update the system because they don't trust it. So it was taking double the amount of time. And so that was for me really the trigger point where I started thinking the human side is the value of technology. Technology is just the enabler. And over the last 25 years, all of my project experiences supported this thesis as well. And this is where it triggered me to write a book on that topic as well.
But even, was it also the trigger for you to launch your own company? Because being head of digital for Deloitte, that's a nice, cushy, of course stressful, but great role, right? Social prestige. And was that also the trigger that you're not really making an impact and I need to go and do this on my own? Taking the path, much steeper path, right, in career?
I started my own company in 2012. And at that point, there was a shift happening in terms of digital disruption. And I recognized that the traditional organization structures were not conducive for digital disruption and agility and dynamic transformations, right? So we were not even transforming internally as quickly as we were telling clients to transform.
That's the irony of it, right?
It was, and it was creating a barrier for us, right? So what I thought of is I need to create a different kind of organization structure, and you won't believe though, most people told me it's not going to work. You're a woman, you're a foreigner, it's not going to work. And so what happened was I had this desire to prove the industry wrong to a certain extent. And over the last and over the last 13 years, it's proven. Our approach is we are a digital first company.
So digital first. I thought you said human first. Very interesting.
Digital first in the sense that we don't believe in physical office.
I see.
So our team structure is very flexible. We have partners across the globe.
That's what I was going to say. You can access the best talent from not just based in the city you're in, right?
Absolutely. And there's no kind of physical resistance or physical elements that stop us from doing small projects, large projects. So it's a nice dynamic environment.
Interesting. When you say you're not restricted from doing small projects, sometimes you learn more from small projects, right, than large, sexy projects.
Absolutely. And it's nice because we get to go, most of the projects I work on myself. So very rarely in a traditional consulting structure, you have the partners working with the client.
Which is great for the client, right? They get the number one, uno numero.
And for me, it's great as well because it's continuous learning. I get to roll up my sleeves and understand the culture of the company and work side by side with the people. So I find this extremely rewarding.
So just when you say get to know the culture of the company, right, do you find transformation in Western companies different from like in Asian companies then? It's a no-brainer. I know the answer to that. I want you to share with me.
I'm interested to know your answer. Well, I see it this way, right? Any transformation is about the people. Right? People first. And people all over the world, there are certain elements that motivate them, certain elements that drive them. Certain fears. When it comes to technology, there's a fear of becoming obsolete, fear of losing control, fear of not keeping up with the technology development. So I feel like these things are common across cultures. But of course, in Asia or in Europe or in the Middle East, we have clients in the African region as well. There are cultural differences that have to be taken into account, right? So in terms of how we execute transformation, we take that into account. But the people element, the core of who we are as humans, that's similar across the board.
The fear, the concerns, right? Maybe the selfishness, right? I keep this to myself. That's across the board. Very interesting. Okay, fantastic. So maybe now let's get to the book, right? So I want to talk about, in your book, you've had, this book. First of all, I was telling her that there's no way you got the title of the book, right? Artificial Intelligence for Business. Is so basic and to the point. So I thought the book was written a long time ago, but it's only written like months ago, and yet you got such a sweet and powerful title, right? Insane.
The amazing thing is, this was the gap in the market. There are lots of books out there on technology, on data, on ethics, but to tell business leaders or give a guide for business leaders on what is AI, how it impacts their business, and how they should execute within their business environment, there was actually a big gap in the market for that. So it was lucky that I could get that title, and I wrote the book a year ago. So it's a year-long process, and it was published April this year.
Okay, now I got it. She doesn't know I'm going to ask this question. Did you use any AI agent to help you write the book?
Absolutely not.
No, wow.
I did it the old-fashioned way.
So what about editing? Editing also use an editor?
No, editing was done by the publishers.
By the publishers. So you don't know what methods they use now. Okay. Well done to you.
The core of the content was not changed so much. They did like grammar checks and things like
that's normal lah. Yeah, correct. Okay. Now, look, in the book, you actually, besides AI, you're talking about blockchain, IoT, and immersive tech. So that's a big suite of things you're looking at, right? For Malaysian SMEs right now, which of these do you think has got the most untapped potential that you should really be paying attention to?
So I have two pieces of advice for any company in Malaysia. One is, individual technologies are developing very quickly, right? So it's not just AI. AI is the shiny new thing everyone's focused on, but there's blockchain and digital twins, IoT, and so on.
Minister Gobin loves digital twin, right? He sees so much value in it, right?
There is so much value in it,
exactly.
Right?
Which is why it's not a sexy term. He actually sees the business value for the citizens. That's why it's big on
it. Like digital twins of cities, for example, that allows you to do predictive maintenance and so on. But there is the thing that I'm very excited about is convergence of tech. So when you combine the different technologies, so for example, combining blockchain with AI, or blockchain with AI with virtual realities. So bringing these kinds of conversions, you can really create exponential transformation. But the second piece of advice is, don't get overwhelmed with the tech.
Honestly, not only that, when you say exponential progress, right? For SMEs, that's a scary word for them, right? To them, they say, hey, exponential, to achieve that, I got to spend a lot of money to achieve that. So
the idea of exponential technologies is you don't have to spend too much, you don't have to invest too much time, effort, energy, but you get 10 times, 20 times, 100 times the outcome. If you're doing it the right way.
If you're doing it the right way.
If you're spending more than what you're getting as return, then you're definitely doing it the wrong way, right?
Okay, now, remember, my question was on SME, your advice for SME, because you said all companies, right? So if I want to put you on the spot and say, what about for SMEs, right? What would your advice with them for them to be?
One specific advice, which was my second point, for SMEs, don't look at the technology. Look at the problem space, look at the value you want to bring to the market. And typically companies are looking at growth, risk management, customer experience,
and lowering costs, right?
Lowering costs and productivity, increasing productivity, right? These are 4 core areas that any company would typically look at. Look at your problem space and say, okay, I need to grow quickly. Which is the technology capability that can help me do that? So you use technology as the enabler and not as your silver bullet solution for everything.
And also, when you say that, then they obviously got to say who inside the company can help me manage that or deal with that, or if there's no one, right, that becomes the barrier. Oh, I got to hire a consultant, and they straight away think consultant is expensive, right? So that's the other barrier, because cost is like sacred to them, right? Wherever you can reduce costs,
I think this
your clients are pressing you down all the time.
This is one of the challenges with the consulting industry as a whole, I feel. So I don't want to badmouth my own industry, but I think that the focus should be on value add. right? So what is the value outcome that we're getting from the, if you're spending more on your consultants than you're getting returns from the technology, then you're doing it wrong.
Definitely.
And I think one of the big things that we advocate for in my company is to upskill people so that they don't become dependent on us. We can walk away. So we can go do other interesting projects and they can keep growing, right?
Of course,
So I think for companies, really SMEs, focus on what is the problem space and how you want to use technologies to deliver on that. And a lot of times, it's not about the new technologies. It's about preparing your company to take advantage of the new technologies. So that could be looking at your data environment. Right? A very, very simple thing. Most companies are not even able to do this very quickly. Look at what kind of data you have in your company, and you can actually apply quick solutions with AI to analyze that data, make sense of it, and create value for yourself very quickly, right? So it doesn't even have to be a very sophisticated AI project. It can really drive value at a down-to-earth low level or a pragmatic level.
Okay, then so, the way you talk, it tells me that you've already dealt with small companies before, which is why you're sharing from experience, right? Yeah, okay, that's valuable. Okay, maybe then one more question, right? From your neuroscience lens, Kamales, what can companies do differently just to make sure that their digital transformation is not just a shiny tech or project, but actually inclusive and meaningful for people? Interesting.
So, to clarify, I think when we talk about neuroscience, because it's often related to psychology, right? But actually when we look at neuroscience for technology or for business, it's about driving business results, because business companies are about people. At the core, it's all about people. And my goal for going into that neuroscience space was to understand what motivates people. How can I influence people to drive solutions, to do things with technology. And so within neuroscience, I think if I have one advice for companies, it's really to look at how do you create psychological safety in your company to use technology. So this means allow people to make mistakes, right? Obviously not mistakes that's going to cost you business, but give them space to learn and be okay with taking some risks in that learning environment, making mistakes to learn quickly. Another piece is show vulnerability. Most leadership teams, they don't like to say,
their DNA
I don't know something, right? So, but we are in this age of AI. Not everybody knows everything. So it's okay to say, I don't know this, let's learn together. The third piece is allow space for feedback. One of the biggest elements for ethics in AI is for people to give feedback when something is going wrong. So allow that space for feedback.
Don't just keep the feedback during the teh tarik sessions, right? Away from the boss's ears. Okay, understood. All right, so maybe one last question, right? A lot of organizations adopt digital tools, right? That's a given quickly, but sometimes they compromise on ethics and trust. How can leaders balance speed with responsibility? Which you already kind of touched on a bit, but just zoom in on that. So how do you balance?
One of the, I think, key things is to include ethics in the design stage, right? From the very beginning. And this means set the boundaries around what you can, what you cannot do. Have clear rules around how you're going to use technology, which areas they could be applied for, and what are some of the kind of guidelines. So this has to be one of the first things any company does. Set your ethical guidelines, right? So you have, when you have clear rules, it allows people then to work within that space and be creative.
Yeah, and that becomes a safe space, right? So nobody's doing something or taking advantage of data in a way that they're not supposed to, right? Or trying. Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much, Kamales. I'm wondering whether we're going to see a third book from you.
I hope so.
Maybe based on your experience, right, from being in Malaysia for these 2 days. But actually, how often do you come back to Malaysia or work with clients here?
I come back as often as I need to, whenever there's a client request. But again, we are a digital first company in the sense that we are it doesn't matter where physically we're located.
As long as the connectivity is there, right, which Minister Gobind always talks about also, right?
And you can connect with people through technology as well. You don't have to physically be in the same, but it doesn't exclude physical presence. So it's always nice to have that.
Of course. Okay, very good. Thank you so much and for sharing your perspective, right? And hopefully you've seen all the booths that are here during the 2 days also, or you will, right? So,
I will, yes.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.